Proclamation to mark Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas child abuse and neglect is a countywide problem that is preventable when parents, families, communities, and government work together to advocate for caring and safe environments for all children. And whereas nearly 15,000 reports of child abuse and neglect were received in 2015 by the El Paso County Department of Human Services, which provides oversight and protective services to at-risk children in our county each month. And whereas there is overwhelming evidence that child maltreatment can lead to a broad range of short and long-term physical and emotional health problems. And whereas the long-term effects of child abuse and neglect are felt by our whole community and need to be addressed by the entire community. And whereas effective child abuse prevention efforts such as the Not One More Child Coalition succeed because of the partnerships created among human service agencies, public health, the District Attorney's Office, schools, faith and civic organizations, the medical community, law enforcement and first responder agencies, the business community, and concerned citizens. And whereas it is with thanks to community partners for their contributions in preventing abuse and neglect before it happens by developing family-oriented, community-based prevention, awareness, education, and training programs. Now, therefore, the El Paso County Board of Commissioners proclaims its support for the continued collaborative efforts towards effective child abuse and neglect prevention and raising the level of awareness in the community, and hereby declares the month of April as Child Abuse Prevention Month in El Paso County. Done this 12th day of April 2016 at Colorado Springs, Colorado. The Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, Amy Lathan, Chair, Dennis Heisey, Vice Chair, Darrell Glenn, Third Commissioner, Sally Clark, and Peggy Littleton, members, and attested to by Chuck Berman, County Clerk and Recorder. Rick?
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioners, for recognizing this important issue. Rick Bankson, Department of Human Services Director. We're in our 5th year, if you can believe it, with the Not One More Child initiative. Commissioner Clark and District Attorney May started that after we had 10 fatalities in 2011. We're still going strong. We had a meeting last month, I believe, and we still get tremendous participation. We still have a lot of child abuse reports. We do lots of assessments. We work great with the state in trying to create more resources to combat this. We have great partners. We have a great turnout here today. I hope some of these folks are willing to come down and make some comments, but the hospitals, Fort Carson has done such a tremendous job in reducing the concerns of abuse and neglect on their base. So I can go on and on. I appreciate our child placement agencies that provide foster homes when kids can't remain safely home. So again, there's just so many people to thank from our law enforcement agencies, the education community. We have representatives here from Head Start. I mean, really, it's a continuum of resources and services to keep kids safe in our communities. So I'm going to hand it off to Miriam Percy, who's our Deputy Child, Youth, and Families Director.
Good morning. I'm Miriam Percy. I'm the Deputy Director for Children, Youth, and Family Services, as Rick said. And the one thing that I did want to also include is just the tremendous commitment of our staff and just how hard they work. We continue to meet state timelines in the CSTAT. The timeliness of assessment closure, that is a fiscal incentive, and we continue to meet those, and we eked it in last quarter at 90.6%, so that's just kind of a tremendous accomplishment. I have to thank Shelley Cerna, who's here representing her kinship units. Sorry, I'm standing on my tiptoes. And so she represents the kinship side of the house, and to date, we actually have more children with relatives than we do have children in foster care. So it's kind of an even balance pretty much month after month. We have anywhere from 280 kids with kin and then about 250, 260 in foster care. So we feel like that's a tremendous accomplishment from 5 years ago when we had a much smaller percentage with relatives. We do assist relatives so that they can care for their relative children, and so that's just continue to make that program stronger and continue to work with those folks so that kids don't have to get deeply embedded in our system. So I just want to thank all our staff and staff that especially couldn't be here today, but continue to make a commitment to this cause. So it's very, very important. And I've done this 19 years, and you just continue to find the good and the success stories. And I see Jill McCormick's here from Lifelong Links at CASA, and she continues to meet with me monthly and tell me success stories about relatives that she's found for some of our deep end kids. So it's very exciting to have some of the programs that we've been able to bring to our county. So thank you again for sponsoring this and letting us put up the pinwheels in the yard, and that was exciting. So thanks again.
Thank you for you and Rick and all the caseworkers. If you look at what Department of Human Services does, the more you peel the onion back, the more things you do. And it's really a wraparound service for so many folks that are struggling in this community. So thank you.
I'm going to let Christina explain the pinwheels. I have about 15 in my office that I've continued to have for several years, but go ahead, pinwheels for prevention.
So pinwheels for prevention, they're basically representative of the happy childhood that we wish every child could have, and that happy childhood that we endeavor to bring to them by trying to prevent child abuse and neglect.
Thank you.
We're proud of our PIO. She came not knowing a lot about DHS and now knows everything about DHS. So, she's been a good help.
Good morning. I'm Jenny Bender, CASA's Executive Director, and this is Georgie Barnes. She's one of our CASA volunteers. For 27 years, court-appointed special advocates of the Pikes Peak region has had the privilege of partnering with citizen volunteers like Georgie for abused and neglected children in the courtroom and in our community. CASA volunteers have advocated for the safety and well-being of over 13,000 children in El Paso and Teller counties. CASA volunteers provide passionate, extraordinary service without compromise for what is in the child's best interest.
I'm Georgie Barnes. Hi. Although effectively intervening in the lives of these children and their families is our focus and responsibility, preventing abuse and neglect is a shared obligation. CASA benefits the entire community and supports prevention by breaking the cycle of generational abuse. Volunteers not only bring positive change to the lives of our vulnerable children, but also their children and generations to come. CASA is honored to work with dedicated professionals at the county, DHS, Office of the GAL, and other professionals to give every child a chance to succeed and ensure that every child grows up in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment that is free from abuse and neglect. We appreciate the county's continued partnership and CASA programs and investment in CASA programs, including dependency and neglect, supervised exchange and parenting time, and lifelong links. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dan Martindale, Public Health Director. I just wanted to say that I too have been involved with the Not One More Committee. I think since its inception 5 years ago, I was actually basically told I needed to be on it by my then Public Health Director, and I thought, oh God, I got more things to do, and this really isn't in our wheelhouse. But I went, and I was surprised to see that I think back then we probably had 75 to 85 people showing up in the early stages. Now, some people have moved on in their careers and so forth, but as Rick said, we do have a wonderful core group of people that here 5 years later are still coming. I just wanted to mention too, I was put on the data committee. There's several subcommittees. Even though I'm the public health director, data isn't my thing, but I took it over, and we really began to work with other county folks here with our IT and GIS departments. So my point is that over the last 5 years, when the incidences of child abuse were very, very high, this whole committee dealing with and addressing child abuse in our community have really worked hard to put together resources, marketing materials, data in terms of where is child abuse happening in our community and in our county, and where are the services, for example, located and resources located to where most of these incidences are happening. So the overall goal is to really put together education and prevention programs, not only with all citizens, but with our military and all the different entities that we have here in our county. So I just wanted to thank Commissioner Clark. I don't know if District Attorney Dan May is here, but this idea 5 years ago is still going strong, and I think everyone in our community needs to have child abuse as a focus and have it on your radar, because we're all involved with it and we all need to be involved. So thank you very much.
Good morning to all the commissioners. I'm Willene Lampert. I'm the Executive Director of Safe Passage, the Children's Advocacy Center for the Pikes Peak region. We have been in existence here in Colorado Springs for 22 years, and every day we work to support and protect those children who have been abused, either through sexual abuse or physical abuse, or who have been witness to violence. It is my hope that at some point in the future, I can tell you that Safe Passage no longer has to exist, because in fact, we will have figured out a way to prevent any abuse against any child. In the meantime, every year we see approximately 850 children who have been abused by the very adults that are supposed to protect and support them. While we are not a primary prevention organization, our services and what we do with law enforcement, with the Department of Human Services, and with our district attorney's office helps to make sure that abuse against a child, one child at a time, is stopped, and that any further abuse to that child is prevented, and that we are preventing that perpetrator from ever harming any other child. I want to give special thanks to the children who, through their bravery and their courage, are able, day after day, one child at a time, to tell what has happened to them, so that that disclosure can be used as evidence in the crime of child abuse. And they help make sure that abuse stops. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Willie.
Thank you.
My name is Kara Nord, and I am one of the 9 county attorneys who are assigned to the Department of Human Services. I want to really just thank the board today for the opportunity for the board to honor National Child Abuse Prevention Month. We had an opportunity to speak to the board a couple months ago, and at that time I mentioned a Mark Twain quote about there's 2 most important days in your life. One is the day you're born, and the second is the day you figure out why. The county attorneys who are assigned to the Department of Human Services and the Department of Human Services folks that are here today are here because they know that they were born to help children. And the work that we do and the work that DHS does is absolutely amazing for the children of El Paso County. So we want to absolutely thank you for letting us plant the pinwheels and recognizing this very important month. It's wonderful to be acknowledged for all the work that we do, and most importantly, for the children to be acknowledged. So thank you.
Thank you again for your support. As you can see from this outpouring of people, we really wouldn't be able to do it without them. I have to thank Crystal Grint for the planting. She's my intake manager, and that whole front end of the hotline wouldn't work smoothly, as you know, with the new call center and everything without her help. So, and then just all my staff that remain back at the office, but especially to the community partners that are here today to support us with this. Thank you.
And again, anyone who would like to stand with us, we're going to take a quick jaunt out to the front of the building, and we would love for everyone in this audience to stand up to prevent child abuse and help us remember those children who need a voice and show that your support by holding a pinwheel with us. So that's.
Oh, this is good. This is good.
Gotta find like a soft.